로와 남게 타란 양배 신변 탐지 배지된 원 넘진 안남다가 양다방 속에 상지적 보관하는 거 제가 진행 장벽을 자. 이 제도 내면 다고는 것이 송 타고는 것이 굉장히 남겨진 건지 제가나 내면고네 근데 타에 신변 탐지를 해나가고 싸우 양도 굴만 장주 초도 sem제대 sem르슈.
So first of all, we should check our motivation again. Our motivation should, of course, be one to bring about the awakening of complete Buddhahood, not only for ourselves, but for all sentient beings whose numbers are as innumerable as space or sky is vast. With this attitude at heart, this attitude which is the attitude of a bodhisattva, the so-called enlightened attitude, we should now set out to listen to the instructions on the profound path as it has been set down in the JOOL ornament of liberation by the great incomparable Gampopa.
다 가서 코르 동안들 대차원에 아들인 대다외게다 코르 동안 차번 누제기 동안당 주르 동안당 동의제 동의 순부대 대다외 동의 순부대 그는 유 매발에 좋아요 많이 그런다 유미도 발에 좋아요 많이 대인도 장다 지구당 틈에 유지 연구요래 지구의 유당 틈에 연구요래 대인도 대다외 지구 동안 순부대 랑기 유 강의 중앙 인시나 근데 사고다 집에 중앙 인시아지 사제의 레디 동의 주의 받는
In the last session, day before yesterday, we have heard about the different kinds of suffering. We've heard about the fact that suffering can be subcategorized into 3 categories. The first of these was explained, explained, is the so-called all-pervasive suffering. Suffering which arises simply out of the fact that we ourselves, as well as everything else, comes together as being born under the influence of various conditions and circumstances. Then the second of these is the suffering of change, and the third is the so-called suffering of suffering itself. Now we might have asked ourselves, how come that everything within this cycle of existence, everything that we could possibly perceive or experience is characterized by suffering? How does this suffering come together? Does this suffering simply happen by itself, or does it have a cause? Or is anything, does just about anything serve as a cause for suffering, or does any individual suffering that we experience have an individual cause? Now, concerning these points, the great omniscient Buddha himself has said, every deed that is being performed under the influence of delusion or ignorance serves as a cause for suffering.
Sangye 민투야 당 기득인 지금으로 똑성고 용투야게建立 카와라 레요라서나 무구농을 알아. 근데 무구농 바나 미기빌레 시당 따부지 배차나 시당 따부지 오늘 소나 시당티 근데什么 이지레 구농 디제베 sem바 아무구농 디제베 근데 삼베레레 루지레당 마게레 남주셔 구농 디제베 무하게 남주람 용하게 레데라 삼벨레 띵도 sem바 이지레당 디제베 삼바 용하게 레데레 이수도가 소말.
The great Indian master Nagarjuna has explained the very same points in his own words, saying the great master, or the great rishi, has explained the world of the 3 realms to be made up of deeds. And deeds are nothing else but thinking and that which derives thereof. So the great rishi, being no one else but the Buddha himself, the great master, he has explained that everything that we could possibly perceive as the world, all of this is included within this which is called the three realms. And within these three realms, every conceivable kind of existence, every conceivable form of existence is invariably contained, included therein. All of this comes to pass, all of this appears to us solely on the basis of our own deeds, of our having done something. Now these deeds, our having done something, what are they being based on? They are predominantly and initially based upon our thinking, our mental activity, our ideas and concepts and so forth. Even if we were to fly into a rage and commit great negativity in such a way and great damage, this would initially be started by our allowing ourselves to be overwhelmed by, for instance, anger or hatred, and everything that follows thereof. So everything that we perceive, everything that seemingly exists, is based on something, on some deed which is being based on some kind of thought, some kind of mental activity of ourselves. In this way, that thought as the basis, this idea as the basis, and that which derives thereof, the deeds, the ideas, concepts, and deeds which follow out of this initial impulse of some mental activity. These are the basis for the entire world, all the three realms, which include everything that could possibly conceivably be perceived or which seems to be existing. And everything that is to be said about such deeds and what follows thereof has been summarized by Gampopa in his JOOL Ornament of Liberation into 6 points. He says there that first there is the categorization, then there are the various aspects of that. Then there's the fact that it needs someone who does something, so something has to be done, something has to be performed or committed by ourselves, and that in itself will have a result. Our cause, our doing something, whatever, becomes the cause for a result that we have to experience later on. Then such results, initially starting out as something rather small, can grow into something rather much larger than that. And finally he says that the result itself is not exhausted by itself. So by necessity we will definitely experience it. It will not just go away by itself. So these 6 points summarize basically everything that needs to be done about deeds and everything that derive of them. So having looked at these 6 points, now to the first of these, the actual categorization of deeds or acts on our part. These again can be, even though there is a great many of them, a vast number of them that could be named, one can all summarize these under 3 headings. There is non-virtuous activity, there's virtuous activity, and then there's the so-called immovable activity. The immovable activity. The first of these, non-virtuous activity, is that which we perform with body, speech, and mind, is that which we know as the 10 non-virtuous acts or deeds. There are the 3 non-virtuous acts of our bodies, the 4 non-virtuous acts of our speech, and again 3 non-virtuous acts of our minds. If we perform such deeds, the result, of course, will be suffering and rebirth in lower realms. Now then, moving on from the non-virtuous activity to virtuous activity. Virtuous activities, again, there are 10 of them. They are the exact opposite of the 10 non-virtuous acts. So just to do the opposite of that which is non-virtuous, performing virtue in such a way, this will then lead to the experience of bliss, of happiness, and it will lead to a rebirth in the higher God realms, in the formless God realms, and the experience of bliss and the like will be experienced there. Then moving on to the so-called immovable activities, these usually lead to rebirth within the form realm, either of the 17 God realms within the form realm, or into the 4 higher states of the formless realm. Sukam.
Sunum Gilean Judy,
Sunum Gilean Judy,
the Gombe.
Dökam, Zuk, Kammer.
The Gombe had a mirror.
Dökam, Omar, Mazukam,
Marmar.
Dökam.
Sugam, so may come did high things about the Kamkomani. The Sunum Gilesana, Sunum Gilean Judy, the Gombe had a mean Judam. And then Mio and Lesana come home, Sume come gay things is sheer. The next one number 2 years. The come home money to the Mio. Mio, give it less on the one. The in the good Hamid and the top. The Gombe had a meat and Mio. Sunum Gile. Sunum Maim Legend, Sunum Gile, Mio Legend says one. Sunum Gile Sama. The Gombe had a mean to the consumer, the Gombe had a mean and the Toya. You will Sama come home Niki and it's something Toya.
So to correct myself, I got the sphere of rebirth wrong for the performance of virtuous activity, of virtuous deeds. One is then being reborn within the desire realm, within the various God realms of the desire realm, not within the what did I say before? Formless realm. That was my mistake.
That you are singing tongue. That somebody Dagricha, Dagricha was at that Dagricha lion do Rangi Sabi lady, Rangi Tumu Mind, Shena Tumu on my head. The Lupana Rangi Lake Wasana, the Indigo, the Wadi Marantoya. Rangi Lake Miguasana, the Indigo Dumeti, Ramatomato, Shandanyam Roshajayo. Because not Dagricha lying do lay from Tumu in the lay Imbadang, Shandang Tumu Imba. Rang get Tumu Imba Imbadang, Shandang Tumu, my imbicums and a dene, let the Dagricha was. The Hindu, Panajome de Gando Nala Lajin, do Lajin. Lajin Ni Cheve lady, Lajin Rangi Sibi Pungo the Mimber Juji Songwa. Lajin Quang lay Sabati. Lajin do Lajin Quang lay Sabati, Lajin Quang is Simbe, and the Pungo at the Mingle Mato, Shengi Pungo down, Satan to all the sober, my no Songwa, into Shana Tumu, my Rosija, and then you do Lajin Ni Cheve lady, Lajin Ni Sibi Pungo the Mimber Juji. Shenji Pungo Tang, Southern Door, Soba, my no Songwa. Into they come to Saba in the young, Gawa, Diba, they come to Sanayang, the Indigo, Janina Mimba Mato, Shendang Goshajaneva. Shendang Tumu Soya, they do Jangi Tumu in the Lay Mainu, let Dagricha.
Now this brings us to the next point, which explains the workings of cause and effect, which explains mainly how each and every result that is being experienced in whatever way has caused itself. This means to say that whatever we experience has been caused by ourselves and no one else for that matter. Whatever we do, whatever deeds we commit, whatever acts we perform, it is we and we ourselves alone who will experience the result of this. It is not as if we would be doing something and someone else would experience the result of it. Similarly, if someone else, the people who surround us, do something, it is they themselves, for themselves, who will experience the result of their own doing, of their own deeds, their own activity. It is not as if we would experience this. So something like the common experience of a common result simply does not exist. There is no such thing. To exemplify this, or to clarify this, there is a quote by the Buddha, which one finds in one of the sutras, in which the Buddha has said, the fact of someone, the result of a being born as the god Indra, as the highest of all gods, is solely caused by itself. All the surrounding people, gods, whoever, who might experience this, who might perceive this, they have no such benefit out of this. Only the one who has performed that deed which leads to the result, to the result of being reborn as the god Indra, only that particular being will experience that result, nobody else whatsoever.
나디 가르게와 통일어서 내가 막 레게와 사나 전에 인지우대와 토가도 고가 줘래 레게와 사베 인지우대와 토가가 민주와 노르메바 아 이부터네 반나 레미게와 잡고 사나 전에 디 제수 전에 이부터는데 봐 게와 또생게 레 사나 그냥 인지우 민 마민바양 용시래 대마도 질 레네 코랑을 하는 자발을 상상하나 레미게 와사나 인지부대와 인지부동을 통해봐 레 여와사나 인지부대와 통해봐 마도 리베 주사네 인지부대와 토와 미시바래 예외 레사네 인지부동을 토와 미시바래 근데도 렌데 미초와 아시아디 디시바래 반나 노나나 송나 사변 차왔나만에 인지부 차와 지워 사면 nga로 나만이 이제 nga로 지어줘. 빼다 제가 니네. 네게 나면 사와다. 깔면 나면 nga로 개바이 시바 차서. 디선도 스벤 담아 지구 부신직 말해서 나 스벤 담아 유사를 차외게 유사는 따위는 대라 때는 지구 랑당 튜베 랑 유당 튜베 지구 양 차와지기로 했어. 사면 nga로 담아 지구 랑 유당 튜베 지구 nga로 지기로 했어. 배대신도 다다데 안에 사람 차와다 자와디 리벨레 사나 지구 차와다 저와 동에 타와 사병마와도 투바 게벨레 사나 지구 nga와 타와 대신도 배대신도 안에 더 지구 대와 타와 델레야 렌데 미초와 타오데 소나디 레고가죠.
This brings us to the fourth point within the categorization, which simply says that whatever it is we do, we will invariably experience our part of it. We will invariably experience the result of it. And it is, as it has been pointed out so many times before, a negative deed can, by definition, never bring about a happy, pleasurable experience. Similarly, a positive deed can never, ever bring about the experience of suffering or pain. It just does not work that way. So by necessity, a negative deed will always result in suffering, whereas a positive deed will always result in the experience of pleasure or happiness or positive circumstances and so forth. This has also been exemplified many different times, and there are many quotes from the Buddha who talks about this and who gives us analogies or examples. It is being said, for instance, that if one were to plant the seed of a chili plant into the earth, one cannot possibly expect to harvest sugarcane out of such a plant. invariably, if we plant the seed of a chili plant into the earth, well, a chili plant will grow out of it, of course. Similarly, if we were to plant the seed of sugarcane, we could not expect chili to grow from this. It just doesn't work this way. Just the initial condition of whatever seed we plant will bring about just the corresponding result. Nothing else will result thereof. Similarly, if we were to perform a positive act, it is just not possible that as a result of that we will experience suffering, or that if we were to perform a negative act, that as a result of that we could be experiencing happiness. It just doesn't work this way. Now to move on to the fifth point, in which it says that small things can turn into big things. This means to say that even a small positive deed can become the cause for great happiness or great pleasure. Similarly, even a small negative act can result in great immeasurable suffering. This is being exemplified by Shantideva in his famous work, the Bodhicharyavatara, the entering upon the conduct of a bodhisattva, in which he says, if one were to harbor negative thoughts towards those who are the true benefactors of these worlds, the bodhisattvas, then according to however many negative thoughts one has, just as many eons of suffering one will have to undergo in the lower realms. So Shantideva likens the bodhisattvas who constantly work for the benefit of all sentient beings to the true benefactors of ourselves, the true benefactors of this world. And even if one were to harbor only a single negative thought towards these bodhisattvas, then one would, as a result of these, have to undergo extreme suffering for the duration of a whole eon in one or the other of the lower realms. So in this way, a small cause can turn into a big result. On this brings us to the sixth and final point concerning the categorization of deeds and the workings of cause and effect, which says that causes which bring about results do not exhaust themselves by themselves. That does not preclude our bringing to bear certain measures in order to purify our negative deeds. If, for instance, we would have performed a negative deed, we would have recognized it, then we could bring to bear various measures like confessing them, like doing purification practices and so forth in order to nullify, or at least to a certain extent, to escape the negative results that we will have to suffer thereof. Then we would have done something. But this only concerns, compared to the vast number of beings who constantly act in negative ways, only a very few. The rule of the thumb is that whatever has been caused will invariably be experienced as some sort of result. The cause which turns into the result will not be exhausted by itself in any way whatsoever. Therefore, whatever we do, whatever deeds we perform, we will invariably experience the result of them. It has been said by the Buddha himself in one of the many sutras in which we find his words, that sun and moon could possibly fall down upon the earth. Wind could possibly be caught with a noose, with a lasso. Fire could possibly cause cold or bring about the experience of cold. But the one thing that can never ever happen is that the cause that will bring about the result of our deeds, that this will exhaust itself by itself. It just does not happen. Now, if one thinks about this, of course, also the initial words that the Buddha spoke, also this is not possible. Earth and sun and moon just do not fall down upon the earth, and wind cannot be caught by a lasso. Of course, fire does not bring about the experience of cold, but rather of heat. So how much more impossible does it have to be then for our possibly thinking that the cause that we bring about through a deed of ours will not be experienced as a result?
Sherab Saba, Kang, Tendaway Migua, Tai, Mina, Ona, Kariche Gure, Lega Kariche Guresana, Denam, then Dunga Judan Jebale, Dene, Namjin, Sherab gives over Changu the Miga law, Sherab gives over Changu the Miga law, and Ninji, Miga Jachewa, Tai, Vesemia Tam, Jela Miga, Lo Nibu de Mayon, Rani Jibu, Taratani, Lo Jawati, Yarangi Lambres, and they do, they Bangbe Chedo, they let Dogbe Chedo. 장마봉 인지 고민들 다이에 있으면 탐제가 미국 안하면 당 셔럽 조상의 미국 원이 레인도 나라 지구 타로토는 지금도 디 람이나 타고 레면도 람타투고 레면도 대외 선진 타입에 둔다 미국도 슬라인도 대과 전부 못 지와 대라 때네
This brings us then to the next of the instructions that we could receive from our spiritual teachers, from our spiritual friends. Initially, we have heard how the contemplation about impermanence is an antidote against our grasping onto things, phenomena, and appearances as real, how the contemplation of the shortcomings of samsara are being used as an antidote against harboring hopes for the experience of pleasure and so forth in future lives. And then is the next mistake that has to be eradicated is our idea or our view that we could bring about lasting happiness or peace by way of striving for this only for ourselves. The antidote against that is the giving rise to loving kindness and compassion, which we then display towards all beings. Now, there are indeed those who listen to the teachings and instructions of the Buddha and who recognize them as utterly true, who have absolutely no doubt about the truth of whatever the Buddha has said, and who are then being taken up by an intense fear of being continuously reborn within this cycle of existences. They truly appreciate the words of the Buddha, how everything that is experienced within any of the realms of samsara is truly suffering, and they develop a healthy fear of it. And having done so, they want to do everything within their disposal to end this suffering. Yet they do so only for themselves. This is the attitude of those whom we know as Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. They have appreciated the simple truth of existence in samsara being suffering, yet they do not take the suffering of other beings into account. Now, in order to bring about, to make this attitude a much vaster, a much wider one, we need to open ourselves to the fact that not only we ourselves are immersed in such misery, but all other sentient beings around ourselves equally as much as we are. And therefore, we bring about loving kindness and compassion for their misery, and we strive to find a way out of such suffering, not only for our own sakes, but for the sake of all beings. This is the ideal, or the idea, the motivation of a practitioner of the greater vehicle, the Mahayana. So in this way, giving rise to compassion, to loving kindness, and everything that goes with it, this is the direct antidote against the mistaken idea that there is a way of finding peace and happiness within this world solely for oneself.
다들 당고 참바스라인데 참배로라 양 다들 dom다 되나 양 디송과 이와 미우 남바당 공담 종세 인데 대달 조군데네 참바 참여용 주스 이제도 당고 참바라 이와 그래서 이와 숨유 송아래 심제람이 참바 출람이 참바 미고미 참바 숨유와 심제람이 참바 세야디 드네 심제 유 참바 공배 유 심진 장생도 좋아. 심진 오늘 심진 유도 때문에 좋아. 유발 이거로 뒤 동아양 가서 뒤 주나 대화양 장생도 좋아. 민네 내 당고에 전주 선물로 내 당고에 전주 선물도 동의도 노요 말에 뒤 매일도 심진 때문에 좀 바탕 뒤 주로 유도 대화라 장생도 전도 뭐이 통에 내가 참바 공부도 심진을 믿게 참바. 최람이 그 참바해야 돼. 되네 조람 다 조람난데 참 조람만데 정주 선바 탐지기 돈이 무슨도 또 그거 맨날 양 돈이 이주 수도 고민도 심진 시바의 민장 탄예장 얘네 심진 상도 미게 로시게 대라되네 참바 공부도 최람이 참바 최상입니다. 심진 상 단 미국의 정주 선바스에 가서라 미지에 출라 서바 토바스 나인들 사탕도 통과해 돈이 무슨도 또 그거 제네 최탐지 아니 민원다 주마다 방식이 맞을까 남자마도 방식이 맞을까 그래서 미국의 셰럽지 시스템에 로제나 되는 미국의 참아 그래서 수미가 나네 지당 다른 단디나 다지나 지세나 그 제가 당고들 심지어는 그 참바티랑 소샤네 마송
And these 6 subcategories are, first there is the fact of putting it into practice itself. Then the second, there is the object upon which love is being displayed, or upon which love is being projected. Then there is the object. Then there is the extent to which it can be practiced. Then the particular kind of the peculiarities of those for whom we practice. Then there is the ways in which this is being performed, and finally the results which are being brought about through such extending loving kindness and compassion, for that matter, towards beings. Now these can be also expressed in 3 points. If we were to talk about such loving kindness as is being extended towards being, there is loving kindness that focuses upon beings, that focuses upon their particular mode of being, and then there is loving kindness that is free of any reference point. The first simply focuses upon beings as we perceive them, while we ourselves still hold all these beings that we perceive to be truly real, to be truly present. This is the kind of loving kindness or love that we regular, ordinary practitioners or people could extend towards others. The second, which focuses upon their mode of being, their particular peculiarities and so forth. This is being practiced or can be practiced by those practitioners who already find themselves on certain levels of the Bodhisattva path, which have achieved that which is called the path of joining. They're just short of having fully realized the empty nature of all appearances and phenomena, for that matter, of beings as well. They have glimpsed this empty nature, but not yet fully realized it. And then the third deals, the third kind of love or loving kindness that can be extended towards being is the objectless one. This pertains to this kinds of practitioners, bodhisattvas, who have progressed along the path to such an extent that they have already fully understood the true nature, the empty nature, the substanceless nature of all phenomena and appearances, and of course of beings for that matter. This is a spontaneous love that is being directed, that is being radiated by these, which is free of any particular reference point, namely because of their realization of having fully understood that this which heretofore we have called beings, with all the ideas and concepts which we connect with this, that this does not truly exist, that these beings as we presently perceive them have no true inherent existence onto themselves, by themselves, or out of themselves. Now, if we were to look at these points again, first there are the various categorizations, the various ways in which, talking about loving kindness, in which it can be extended towards being. Then there are the objects of the loving kindness and which we express, which are, simply said, all sentient beings, not a single one excluded. All beings are deserving of our loving kindness, and therefore it is all beings to whom we extend our loving kindness and compassion, for that matter. Then there is the particular ways of doing this, the particular shape that this takes, the particular activities that we give rise to on the basis of our expressing such or extending our loving kindness towards beings. And this then goes on to the various kinds of peculiarities, the particular kinds of shape which this takes on. Now, this is then being followed by the extent to which we're able to practice this. If we were to think about how far can we go with this, to what extent can we practice such a loving kindness, then the extent to which we could do so, the maximum extent to which we could do so, is until we have come to a point where we ourselves have not a single shred of self-interest left within ourselves anymore. When everything that we do, no matter what it is, aims at the benefit of beings, and when there is not a single fleeting thought of self-interest left within ourselves anymore, well, this is the extent to which we could develop our love or loving kindness towards being. And then finally coming to the result which comes of such acting, extending our loving kindness towards beings in this way, well, the results are immeasurable. There is simply no way how one could measure the results. Therefore, practicing loving kindness, extending loving kindness in such way towards being is utterly immeasurable. There is nothing that could be greater than this.
Oh yeah. Let's
leave it at that for now. There are a few minutes for questions.
Yeah.